Welcome back to Right Answers Mostly Pop Culture Edition. I'm your host, Tess Bellomo. And Rammies, today, since Claire is traveling, we have a very, very special guest. We have the one, the only, the Bitcoin Boo of Ram, my husband. Should I say your name or no? Should we keep it just
Taylor Swift?
It's Taylor Swift, you guys. We got her second podcast interview. But you guys know it's my husband. You've maybe heard him before on our premium episode, which was a very special episode where our premium Rammies got to know him and we talked like relationships and advice and love and like a little bit more our story. But today it's just going to be pop culture and celebrity gossip.
Yeah, you got to pay for premium if you want to know anything else about me.
Yeah, you really do. You know, he's a private king, you guys, and we must respect that. I know you guys have questions. I know everyone's very curious, but we respect his wishes. How do you feel being on Ram for the first time publicly?
It's more nerve-wracking here because we did the premium in Spotify at the studio.
Yes.
And I feel like just being there was like distracting enough, just being like, ooh, I'm in a fancy podcast studio. But here, like, I'm just like in our home office and we're on camera and it's just the two of us. So it feels different. And this goes out to, the millions listening at home.
Millions.
Premium.
That's right. Yes, we are in our home right now. We're in two separate rooms, but you know a lot about, we in our relationship talk a lot. Like we love to gossip.
Yeah.
We love to talk about movies and celebrities. And so I thought it'd be fun today, just because you are a child of the 80s. Like Kunal and I have a little bit of a gap in our age. Obviously,
Yeah,
like,
I'd say I'm an 80s baby, child of the 90s.
That's right. And I'm a 90s baby, child of the early 2000s.
Yes.
And obviously we are different. We're different genders. We grew up on different coasts. Like, I think we have very different pop culture moments that like affected our childhood. So I'd like to start out by asking you, like, what was a pop culture moment that you remember that changed your life at the time, that you were just like, damn, that's formative?
So this was maybe the only question that you had told me ahead of time, as like, you were like, here's an example. And I thought about it for a bit yesterday and I knew the answer immediately, but I spent a lot of time thinking about it because I was trying to look for a new answer. Because my honest answer, which I'm going to share with the Rammies, because I'm not a liar.
Please,
just
yeah.
hasn't aged really well, probably over this year. For me, like the formative moment was probably like when I was like 11 or 12, where I think that's kind of the sweet spot where you start to like develop your own taste. Was a tragedy, which was the Notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie Smalls, getting killed, which then led to like the rise of Diddy, aka Puff Daddy at the time,
Right.
of being like this superstar. And he really took hip hop mainstream. And I was an 11 or 12-year-old boy living 30 minutes outside of New York City on Long Island. I was getting access to music on my own. I knew what MP3s were and could download things. I think the first MP3 I ever downloaded was Mo Money, Mo Problems.
Of course it was. I'm not surprised.
It was a music video where he wore a red Yankee hat. So I made my mom buy me a red Yankee hat. He was also like the first kind of like entrepreneur that I knew in a really mainstream way. Like I think right now, it's like very trendy to know like Mark Zuckerberg and the founders of Twitter, and like entrepreneurship and like starting your own business is very mainstream. I think at that time though, like there was like Richard Branson and Hugh Hefner were like entrepreneurs. So not like the coolest examples to a 12-year-old boy, but like P. Diddy had like a clothing line and he was dating models and started a vodka company and like all these other things in addition to owning like the coolest music label at the time. So I think like his rise was like so formative for me. Like I love hip hop. I love New York City. Like all of those things are so embedded in me. And like, I'm an entrepreneur. I work with entrepreneurs. Like he was influential.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Also,
that is an answer that hasn't aged well, but it is like the honest truth.
You know, we all liked things as kids. We're now, sure, we may look back and now that we have more information, be like, that was of a time that doesn't, impact our lives now as much. But yeah, formative as a child, also you were like an entrepreneur when you were 10. You were selling CDs, right? At school.
Allegedly.
Allegedly you were doing some shit in your
Yeah,
locker.
I was selling burned CDs. Yeah, Ja Rule was a hot seller at the time.
Oh God, the Gen Z Grammys won't even understand the beauty of a burnt CD, will they?
You know, one day you just like burned your last CD and you never knew it was going to be the last one.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, it's crazy. I used to buy like a spindle of them, like 50 or 100 packs. It was a whole thing.
I know. I think the last one I ever got was something that Alice made me on my 21st birthday, and never again.
Yeah, I think Gen Z won't understand like the way your brain got coded to understand the order of songs. Because
Mm,
we would make like a
yes.
lot of mixtapes, right? So I would know that like if Life played, like the next song was going to be like Lightning Crashes by Live. Like, so even when I hear it now, my mind goes to that next song, even though that's not what's going to play on Spotify.
I remembered the exact order of every mixtape. Like it's just like it's so deeply in you. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, there's not obsession like that, but I'm sure there's obsession for new things in new ways now that we don't know.
Labubu.
Labubu. I'm still not quite sure what Labubus are, why they're popular, but teach their own.
Same. Like I kind of want to get into it just because it's fun to have a thing, but I just don't think it's me. And
Yeah,
I don't think I need to spend the money.
we don't have the space.
No, there's other things that we prioritize. Okay, that's great. I love that answer. Um, Yeah, mine would probably be like early 2000s when Teen Vanity Fair came out with every single pop, like Hilary Duff, Olsen Twins, Raven Simone, Evan Rachel Wood, and they all lined up. And it was like one of the like you had to like fold it out to see the whole centerfold.
What's Evan Rachel Wood famous for?
She was in that movie 13, which I was never allowed to watch because my mom was like, this is quite disturbing. Still haven't seen
Yeah.
it to this day. She was also she's in Across the Universe, the Beatles movie.
Okay.
Now I'm kind of forgetting. She was like a child star. God, yeah, Mandy Moore, Alexis Bledel, Amanda Bynes. It was every single
Yeah.
teenage woman I was just obsessed with. And when that came out, to this day I just still like stare at it. Like it was just so formative of being like, these are all my heroes in one
Yeah.
magazine.
I I feel like when both of us were growing up kind of in our respective, gap, a lot of the content did target teenagers. Like MTV was very teenage focused. You had Disney, you had like aspects of Nickelodeon and then magazines and TV shows, and it doesn't feel like that exists. Obviously, we're not the target for it, but I wonder if social media has like eaten that away a little bit. Like curious
Mm.
if you would disagree or if you know of something, because I don't feel like mainstream media speaks to young people anymore.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I feel like the only thing I can really think of is like, which we were just talking about because I know you're a new fan. The Summer Turned Pretty.
Yeah. Great music.
Great music, and that is like, don't you feel like that demographic is like teenage, early 20s women? Or no, is it for
Yeah.
everybody?
Ultimately feels like a younger show. So definitely teenagers, I'm sure, like high school age kids, maybe even like some middle school kids are a little advanced. And
I
then
do.
yeah, I think for maybe early 20s people, and then nostalgic for people like us who are like, oh, this reminds me of like a CW show with a much
Oh,
bigger budget.
that's true. What was your favorite CW show?
I think Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, because WB to CW.
WB to CW. It was like part of that transition. Because like my TikTok algorithm will show me like the commercials and promo reels that they had, and I think they even had one of like tomorrow at this time, like the WB turns off and we say goodbye, and like they had a lot of the people from those shows at the time, and Dawson's Creek was like very advanced for the time. Like it tackled a lot of issues, and it was on, I think, at like 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights. And like it was a thing where you're like, I don't want my mom to necessarily walk in the room and know what's happening here, but like now it feels so tame relative to the things that are on television.
Was it like risque? Like,
It was like teen sex storylines and like drinking, and when you're a little younger, you're like, oh my god, there's this whole world
of
of people
course.
doing things.
Yeah.
But like looking back at it, you're like, these are just like 15-year-olds, doing things that all 15 and 16-year-olds do.
Yeah, compared to today of teenagers watching like Tell Me Lies, which is essentially porn. Like we didn't know. We didn't know what was to come.
Yeah. And I think like the broader reaction to it was like more conservative at the time. I think like overall, like the media appetite was more conservative.
Yeah, I remember like I wasn't a Dawson's Creek girly, but now I regret it because like I know that now you are like it might just be like a little bit too outdated to watch and get into, which is like very similar. Like I tried to show you Felicity and it kind of felt the same way. I do regret not watching Dawson's Creek. But like my mom had some hesitancy around Gossip Girl. Like, do you remember the ads for Gossip Girl, like the billboards?
I don't remember the ads, but I do remember maybe you and I even went back and watched the pilot, or like at some point I did, maybe during the pandemic. And my friend Corey is like always rewatching in some ways. So like we'll text about it and like, um, so that definitely felt like a leap forward in terms of like pushing the envelope.
Yeah, and like the way that I remember it being advertised as like seeing billboards of Blake Lively, like essentially like in the middle of intercourse with some like shirtless man from the back, and like she was making a face, and watching this when I was 15, and my mom was like, "Why would I want you watching these like rich, privileged teenagers like have sex and get drunk?" But she did allow me to, and I felt thankful for that because I didn't want to be excluded from the culture. But it was
Gossip
great.
Girl was what, 2007, 2008?
Think it started in 2007. I think I was in like a junior in high school when it started, but I wasn't allowed to watch. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of things, and now I really appreciate it. My mom was very sensitive around like how women were depicted, teenage girl. And I was also such like I was an innocent little naive one.
She did a good job protecting you from the big scary world.
She did, and I appreciate that, Dib. Um, but back to Dawson's Creek, what did you think of the reunion in New York City?
I was actually in New York City last week and I really wanted to go, but I had a prior commitment that was going to be really hard to unwind by the time they had kind of announced the show. Tickets went extremely quickly. I probably wouldn't have gotten a ticket, but I love that they did it. For context, they did a fundraiser at the Richard Rogers Theater where Hamilton has been going on for the past decade. And it was a fundraiser for colorectal cancer and James Vanderbeek, who is suffering from that disease. And I think even less than 24 hours before the show, James Vanderbeek got two back-to-back stomach viruses and wasn't able to attend the show. So Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton, ended up slotting in for him, which in some ways is hilarious. And also like if I had a ticket, I think I would have been a little disappointed that
Same.
Dawson of Dawson's Creek couldn't attend. And the event was they did like a table read of the pilot.
Oh,
The rest of the main cast was there. And Joshua Jackson and Katie Holmes left together in the same car.
okay. So people are wondering if because they're currently maybe it stopped production, but she is directing him in a rom com.
Yes.
And maybe she's in it, or do they play lovers in it?
She's in it because all those shots have been of them like shooting and they look very coupley. So I think, yeah, they're love interests.
Okay, so do you think that they're hooking up?
I don't know because like if you have watched the show, they have insane chemistry. And I think part of I think this might be like discussed or maybe like rumored is originally they weren't supposed to be love interest on the show, but their chemistry was just so good that it kind of forced the writers to make it a thing.
Damn.
And then because that was like one of the original like shipping kind of things, which was like, is it Dawson? Is it Pacey? Like, who will she be with? And the fan favorite was Joshua Jackson, Pacey. And spoiler alert for a show that ended 20 plus years ago, like she ends up with Pacey.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. I mean, how could he not be the fan favorite? I mean, you know, with Love and Light to what's his face who plays Dawson.
James Van Der Beek.
Yeah, it's just not really the same vibe. I mean, like Joshua Jackson has always had the razz, and like he's kind of a bad boy, but he has like confidence and he's funny.
He has amazing charisma. Also, his character is just like cooler. Like 9 out of 10 people would be like, I'd rather be friends with that person. I'd rather hook up with that person. Like
Yeah.
Dawson is kind of like on a rewatch because I watched a couple episodes during the pandemic and like he's kind of annoying. He's a little whiny. He's like a know-it-all film bro. And also just like problematic in the way that he talks to women. Like it doesn't age great for like this, yeah, complaining 16-year-old boy. So like I think the fans would have been really upset if the writers had made a different choice.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, I think Katie Holmes and him. I mean, they dated when they were on the show for like a year, and but they were young, and so I do think it's cute. I mean, like now they both have kids. Like it's a different time. I know that there's some rumors about him being a deadbeat dad.
I think you told me about that, which like if true, that's trash.
If true, really not great. I think he is someone that it's like I do believe that to be true when I went through the headlines and everything. A tough one for me just because like he just does seem like such a great person, but you know, guys, what we talk about in Ram all the time, do not trust these white Hollywood men because they're probably going to disappoint you eventually.
Don't don't put too much stock in anyone that you don't know in real life. People are messy, people are disappointing, and you don't have all the context.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Um Well, I guess that actually could be a good segue into talking about Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie last night, since a lot of people have to separate him as a celebrity from him as, you know, an
Actor,
actor,
yeah.
which I've even been having, you know, conversations and debates about with people that I know and love, you know, having a
You want
hard
me to just mute and you can just like,
just
spoken
go for
word?
it.
Yeah.
No, we don't have the time. So Kunal saw One Battle After Another 2 days in a row because he is a very good husband, and I really wanted to see it when I got back from my weekend trip, and I wanted to see again with him because we've been so excited. Um, Curious about your thoughts about the movie and if you found any differences in seeing it for the second time around.
Yeah. So for context, I saw it on Sunday at the Universal City Walk in Hollywood. It's like where Universal Studios is, and it's I think the largest screen in Los Angeles. Like
Crazy.
an IMAX 70 millimeter. It's where I saw Sinners and Ryan Coogler came out before the show. I think over the weekend, Leo and Paul Thomas Anderson came out at one of the shows at that theater as well. It's kind of like a marquee place, and we're very spoiled in LA to have like all these options of different formats. And yeah, so I went and I saw it and it felt really immersive. And I think like, I was like, this is just so beautifully composed. Like every shot is amazing. I found like the story to capture my attention. Like at no point was I like checking my watch to be like, how much time is left? And the whole thing, like it felt like a really good movie. I think what I was contending with, which is like a reality in the year 2025, is I almost wish that I'd come in blind without hearing people be like, this is a masterpiece, this is his generational work, etc. I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I don't know if this is even in my top 4 or 5 of his movies.
Mm,
And I want to like digest it because it's been so fresh. I've now seen it back to back nights. I think what I noticed on the second watch on like a normal movie size screen is it allowed me to focus a lot more on like the performances. And I thought this was maybe one of the funniest performances Leo has had, maybe with like Wolf of Wall Street being the other.
agreed.
And you and I have talked about this before that we wish he would just like loosen up a little, like undo the tie and like go and do a full comedy.
Oh, what I would give.
Cause I think it helps when someone who's done like historically all dramatic roles is able to break into comedy and like do that. Like I think they get extra laughs just from like the surprise factor a little bit. And I'd like to see him do that, but I don't know if he ever will. Just based on like the kinds of filmmakers he chooses to work with, like it doesn't feel possible. But I thought the movie was good. I love like a monoculture moment and it feels like everyone's talking about it. So positive for that reason. I hope it does really well at the box office so we continue to make more like original IP movies and not sequels and comic book movies. But overall, I think like the hype maybe didn't serve it well for me. And I've talked to a few friends and I think they all kind of felt similar as well. Curious, what did you think?
Yeah, I've been trying to like even we were texting some friends about it today, and I was even having a hard time like typing like what I felt about it. I think I agree with you that the hype didn't serve us well because I went in being like, this is going to be a life-changing movie. Like I'm going to feel so moved by it. It's going to be so powerful. And it was powerful in a way that I almost can't describe because I just think the story was very interesting. And I think obviously it was dealing with a lot of topics that are just topical, immigration, race, like motherhood, like addiction, even like all of these things. But I was like, why didn't I have a moment of like feeling it almost in my gut or like feeling it in my heart? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I kind of thought I was going to be moved in a way I wasn't. And I'm like, did I just want a different type of movie? Like, I don't think Paul Thomas Anderson is like, that might just not be the genre, but I was craving like a little bit more emotional, like depth to it, I think.
Yeah, I think I think that's fair. I'll be curious to kind of read and listen to more people's reactions. One's kind of this like cloud of the initial hype. Like what how does this age a year from now?
Right, and, like, I know that they were like, when Leo and everyone have been on the press tour, they're like, "This is like, it's not a political movie." It's very, like it's not, like, one-sided, and I'm like, "Why do you think they keep saying that?" Because they're scared that certain people won't wanna see it. Because like, it is political.
I actually think it's an extremely political movie.
Yeah.
It's inspired by a Pinchon book called Vineland, which examines like 1960s radicals as they age into the time of Reagan in the 80s.
Mm.
And PTA kind of took that core idea and has it take place in like 2007, 2008, and then it jumps forward 15 years. But still with that core idea of like, what do the radicals of one time period look like as they get older and like the passing of the torch in that moment without like spoiling any of the movie. So like, it's an extremely political movie. It feels extremely contemporary as you think about what's happening in this country with ICE and a rise in authoritarianism and fascism. Like it's an anti-fascist movie. And I think in this climate, a lot of people are scared to like put a line in the sand and be like, this is what this is talking about. And they probably are like, we want everyone possible to come see this movie and we don't want to alienate anyone in the marketing. But I almost think that they should say it's a political movie. I think that would get it more attention because I think the trailer did a disservice to what the movie is. Like I saw the trailer. We go to the movies at least once a week. I've seen that trailer a dozen times. Each time I'm kind of just like, this feels loud.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would have been drawn to it if I didn't know that Leo was in it.
Yeah.
And I did have a moment last night of being like, would I love this movie as much if he weren't in it? Because, he's my favorite actor ever and I'm such a fan of his. Yeah, I've had to ask myself that too. And I don't know the answer.
Yeah. This might be controversial. Something that like I was marinating on this morning is like I thought the first half of the movie is better. I think Tiana Taylor, who plays his love interest, is electric and like a really amazing actress. And she steals every scene that she's in, even against Leo, on the screen. And I feel like the second half of the movie is a different movie. And I almost would say like the strongest performance comes from, I'm forgetting her name, but the actress who plays the daughter.
Chase Infinity, I think, or
Yes, I think
yes.
that's right. And like she feels like a revelation where like Leo's a great performance, but I almost feel like he is in the service of the women that he's on screen with in a way where like his performance is a little quirkier. So I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love the beginning. I love seeing their relationship and how they got to know each other and their chemistry. My God, I was like, if we could just have a few more, few more makeout scenes, like I wouldn't have minded that. But yeah, I always in these movies with a lot of the times with these white male directors. I want more women. I want more like interesting storylines around the women. And so I feel like we got that. And then it was then a little bit more scattered in the second half with his daughter. But I was like, just more of these women. Like that's the heart of the whole story.
I mean, it's a girl dad movie, and for context, Paul Thomas Anderson has 3 daughters. He's married to Maya Rudolph, so his children are interracial children, just like the child in this movie. And there's in an interview he talks about, I think it's him not being knowing how to do his daughter's hair, or maybe Maya Rudolph's dad not knowing how to do his daughter's hair, and that line presents in the movie
That
around
was,
like,
yeah,
yeah, like she doesn't have a mom. So I think like this is his first transition, and someone called it into being like he's historically made cocaine dad movies, which are like high intensity and kind of dark, and this is his first weed dad movie of like,
funny.
I'm an older LA dad now, and like here's me processing, and this is like a different tone for him. So like it'll be interesting to almost see what he does next.
Yeah, yeah, I really love those moments. And like I like one of my favorite scenes was like before she went to the dance and him just being paranoid and overprotective, and you can just like see their struggles with how they interact together. And I was like, I could have watched a whole movie on that. But
Yeah.
I'm not like the biggest action girly, but yeah, I wanted a little bit more like quietness in it, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because Paul Thomas Anderson movies are typically people in rooms having conversations. His
Mhm.
movies are a relatively low budget. This is his first foray into like, I think north of $100 million budget. We're going to do big action set pieces and shot it on a VistaVision camera, which is like a really big print. Fun celebrity fact: Giovanni Ribisi, the actor, he's like in Boiler Room and a bunch of like early 2000s movies. He's apparently like a huge film nerd, and he restored and built a VistaVision camera that he gave to PTA to shoot the movies. Somewhere in
Oh,
the credits, he gets like a special thanks because he made it possible, because there are
damn.
not that many VistaVision cameras out there and very few theaters that can even show it.
Wow. Th- that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I would tell everyone to go see it. Like I think it's an interesting movie for, and it is just like I agree with you. Like having a movie that everyone's talking about that is so representative of where we're at like in the world is a good thing to see versus some of the other shit that's being made. Like I think
Yeah,
everyone should go.
absolutely. If you can, like, show up, go to a movie theater, go see the kinds of movies that you want to see more kinds of movies made. It's the only way it works. Like waiting for it to come to streaming does not have the same impact. Like a box office matters.
But it really does. And yeah, we're AMC A list. So we do see a lot of movies. I mean, it is so nice. Like it's so nice to I feel like I used to really be like picky with when I'd go to the movies because I was just like $22 to see this movie I don't give a shit about. And now, we have like a lot more flexibility with that.
Yeah,
Um,
AMC sponsor us.
sponsor us. Yeah, sponsor Ram, please. We're waiting. What's been our favorite movie we've seen this summer? Like what did we love? I'm forget. Oh, we really liked Oh Hi.
I was really good. I don't know what else have we seen. We've watched so many movies this year.
We saw Jurassic Park. We were like seeing all like the like Jurassic Park and I Know What You Did
Mhm.
last summer. Oh, Togetherness, which didn't really hit for either of us.
Yeah. What else? I'm looking. I just pulled up we watched the Lizzie McGuire movie. It was my first time.
And you were cracking up.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It helped me understand you better. You saw Jurassic Park for the first time.
Yeah, we saw that at the Hollywood Bowl, you guys, with the Philharmonic. It was crazy.
You watched One Fine Day for the first time.
A great underrated rom-com.
You know what else was a revelation to me? And like, I feel like I've seen all the rom coms, was A Lot Like Love.
What a slept on early 2000s rom-com.
Yup. Yup.
Yeah, guys, we
Yeah.
Kunal really loves a rom-com, and that was one of the first things that I really like you when we met. I was like, that's hot.
I think my favorite movies of the year, Sinners,
Yep.
which was all like opening night at that theater I mentioned before, and then F1, which I went by myself to like a 9 a.m. IMAX showing And it reminded me of like the kinds of movies that they used to make, which was just like put a movie star in and he's going to do cool things. And it's going to be big budget and expensive and loud. And Brad Pitt's a movie star.
Yeah, I still haven't seen F1. I was going to open an article I saw Instagram post about saying Leonardo DiCaprio is the last and only real movie star, but I'd probably say Brad Pitt and Leo, right?
And let's not exclude the top of that list, which is Tom Cruise.
Okay. Well, this is actually a good transition because like we shouldn't fight about this, not in front of the Rammies, not in front of
Yeah.
our fans. This is a good transition, Tom Cruise, which makes me think of Nicole Kidman announcing her separation yesterday with Keith Urban, the AMC goddess, the AMC.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like
I
this.
mean, like I wonder if it does for her. I wonder if she's going to the movies to mend her broken heart.
Perhaps she's probably making 9 movies right now.
Yeah, so were you some people felt shocked. Were you shocked to see that?
I wasn't, but maybe like the only surprising part is because this could have been announced 5 years ago and I wouldn't have been shocked. Is like at some point it becomes shocking of like, why'd you decide to do it now?
Right. And usually when celebrity breakups are announced, I think it happened like 6 months to a year before, right? Like, I think
That feels
obviously
right.
I used to be like, oh my God, they just broke up like yesterday and they have to like get ahead of this. Like, which I'm always like, I wonder what their team is saying of like, do it now. Is it when there's other news going on? So it's like not as big of a deal.
Yeah, there's probably some calculation that goes into that. Or maybe it's like one of them has now started dating someone and it becomes
Oh,
riskier of like, do you want to control the message or have to manage the message on the other side of it of like they're spotted somewhere or now there are more people in this circle of knowing this information and it could leak out. So I think there's like a control element there too of yeah, they quietly broke up a year ago and now maybe Nicole's dating someone or Keith Urban is and they want to go public or just like don't want to have to hide it with the same intensity of the world thinks I'm married still.
right. Yeah, I mean, never was like a huge fan of them as a couple, but always thought that they seemed sweet, but sometimes it's like it's a little bit too much, like on the red carpet when they would just be like holding each other, making out. I did love how he didn't seem to care that she was so much taller than him because I do think that's like a lot of men do.
I wouldn't know.
He is a tall man, you guys. And it is nice, but yeah, she always was towering over him and he seemed to like her doing her thing. But I've always heard rumors about them. And so and maybe have a little bit of intel that I probably shouldn't say. And I know that's annoying, but I'm just going to say I wasn't surprised.
Hey, and we'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. Cause yeah, I don't want to get messy. I don't want to be disrespectful, but,
Venmo me $10 if you want to know more.
no, Rammies, don't search him. He won't appreciate that.
Unless you're sending money. I
That's
won't
true.
respond, but I will take it.
Yeah, we'll take some cash. Um, so yeah, that was probably shocking in this week's celebrity news to a lot of people. What else has been announced? Oh, what do you think of Bad Bunny playing the Super Bowl?
I think it's amazing. I think like Bad Bunny is this really interesting case study in like pop culture right now where he's one of the most streamed artists on Spotify in the United States.
Crazy.
His tour sells out, maybe only Taylor Swift sells faster and more. It's like the secondary market for those tickets is incredibly expensive. All his songs chart, dominates the charts. And yet, you can be very engaged in pop culture and not really engage with Bad Bunny. And it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. I did you know that he was trying to act? Because when we saw him in Caught Stealing, I was like, oh, Bad Bunny.
Yeah, he's also in Happy Gilmore too. He's done SNL a couple times. He's also a huge WWE like wrestling fan. So he's also like been doing wrestling stuff. Like certainly someone who's like, I do music and now I do other things, but he is a mega, mega celebrity. It kind of reminds me of like when Americans don't realize how popular like a football, aka soccer player is outside of the world where people are like, LeBron James, the basketball player, is so famous. It's like, yeah, but Cristiano Ronaldo is like exponentially more famous.
This is me every time. Like, who's that guy?
Messi.
Messi?
Yes. Yeah. See, perfect example, right? Like,
It's like he's 200 million Instagram followers. Like, what the hell?
yeah, and they make like tremendous amounts of money. They're higher paid than any kind of like American athlete. But bringing it back to Bad Bunny, I think it's interesting, one, that he's doing it because I think the interesting context is he's on a global world tour right now, and he did not have any American dates on his tour because he was nervous that ICE was going to be waiting outside of his arenas. He is a Spanish performer, and obviously that's reflected in the majority of his fan base. So he was nervous that his tour dates would be targeted. So his only American performance this year is going to be at the Super Bowl, which in some ways feels like a flex. But based on some of the statements he's taken and the political stance he's taken, which I agree with, I do find it confusing and maybe a little contradictory to kind of wrap yourself and your platform in the NFL, which hasn't
Mm,
always aligned politically with the most progressive causes and has either been like silent on these issues or actively on the other side.
that's a good point. But perhaps, I mean, kind of like Kendrick did last year, like perhaps he's going to do a political statement and be like, I know it's a little contradictory, but like, I have millions of people watching that could see, like, I don't know if he's planning on doing something, but he could, and that would be interesting.
Totally. I think with like the information we have available, it is like a little head scratching of like what are the mental gymnastics that people do to get the biggest platform.
Yeah,
Not that he owes anyone anything, but like it's also an opportunity to take a stance to be like, I'm not gonna do this.
that's true. Do you think him and Kendall Jenner were really in love?
Maybe. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I always just wonder, like, what she's like in a relationship, you know?
I also don't know, like, does she speak Spanish? Like that language barrier must have been challenging.
I don't believe that she does. I mean, I feel like I saw footage of them dancing together at some concert. Have you seen that?
I don't
Where
know.
she's drunk and she's falling over and cracking up and he's lifting her up and like they just look like they have a lot of like sexual chemistry. So I imagine it was like a fun
Yeah.
time, but still an interesting couple to me. Like
Maybe not in love, but probably like a fun little.
fling.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of flings, um Sydney Sweeney's birthday party was just in LA last night. And perhaps like kind of going like public with in a way with her relationship with Scooter Braun. Like he showed up in a what costume?
Jedi. Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
in context, it was a space themed birthday
Space
party.
space themed birthday party. I will say that I loved her outfit. She was wearing like a silver, star inspired, very like sparkly thing. Um, I'm just like, what an interesting couple they are.
Yeah, I think like it's funny that like how unoriginal everyone is kind of like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Like I think Scooter has done like pretty good job kind of crafting this image of like I'm a family man and like I'm all about giving back and says all the right things, and then has kind of also like had some PR snafus and went through a pretty public divorce. And then, I'm sure people who follow him and kind of like his broader business are like, what does it look like to date again when you're such a public figure post divorce?
Damn.
Especially as like a man who's, 40 something years old, a billionaire or close to it, a powerful Hollywood executive. And it's the cliche, you're dating like a much younger like actress. And yeah, it goes back to being like it's the most unoriginal choice
Yeah,
in some
she's 20,
ways.
29 years old,
Yeah, it's just like a 15-year age gap approximately.
they met at the Bezos wedding.
Apparently, I think that's what I heard on like a podcast that was talking about it.
Well, she just seems to be best friends with Jeff and Lauren, doesn't she? They're everywhere. I think they were at the birthday party.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that like at that wedding, it seems like the majority of the guests were other celebrities versus like here are our nearest dearest friends.
Yeah, would be very curious to know who who their actual friends are, or if they have any. I mean, like a lot of people with that kind of wealth, like don't you feel like you lose people through the years?
Maybe, but Jeff Bezos did make a lot of people in his life very rich. I think the first $1 million invested into Amazon were checks from like 100 different people.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, what else is on the list to talk about? Oh, I didn't like look up a link to talk about this in detail, but I have seen rumors, and I sent it to you and Claire last night, that there is a fan theory that Charlie Kirk's wife may be John Bonet, which I feel like we have to mention just for the Rammies.
Yeah, I'm not like sure what to discuss other than like I feel like every few years it pops up that like someone in popular culture is actually Jean Bonnet.
The previous theory was Katy Perry,
Yeah.
which we kind of talked about a little bit during our Katy Perry episode. And then there was someone before. We can't really let it go, can we?
I think it's one of those things where like the our inability to kind of just grok that like it probably was her dad, or that we don't know like the circumstances under which she was killed and who did it. That lack of closure, I think people coming up with these theories is kind of their way to like still try and make sense of it. It's the same way that like for years people were like Elvis is still alive and he's been sighted here, and people did that with Tupac for a long time where they're like he's on an island somewhere and someone has seen him, or he's wearing the new pair of Michael Jordans after his death but it's in his music video. Like I think it's people's way of like processing a death that doesn't have closure or feel sudden.
I mean, I understand. I understand to some extent, but then it's also like, you guys, we need to touch grass a little bit. You know, like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
But
Like,
all that said, I believe it.
you believe it? Okay. So our next episode, we'll do a deep dive into Charlie Kirk's wife.
I think Claire will be back for that. I'll be gone.
You're like, I think I'm busy
Yeah.
and unsubscribing. Do we want to talk about Taylor Swift's album on Friday or not really?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I think that, yeah, I think it's on everyone's mind. I have been feeling, and I was actually just texting Alice and Claire about this. And we've talked about this a little bit recently of just like a bit of emotional and physical exhaustion around, you know, the release of the albums, the hints, the social media, the selling 8,000 vinyl copies and CDs. Like, I don't know what it is around this time that I'm just feeling like tired and I'm not getting as excited because I think I just don't have it in me.
Yeah. I think Taylor, it's been overexposure in a way of like the Eras tour was what, like a year and a half, 2 years of just like touring. And in like the media age we live in, it's not like you attended the tour and it was over. Like every night on Instagram and TikTok, like you could live stream each city that she's in and all the content and hear the surprise songs. And then when she wasn't touring, it's like, here's her showing up at a football game or leaving a restaurant in the West Village in New York with Travis Kelce or one of her famous friends. Then it was the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and like how she's involved in it. And now she's going to give a deposition, apparently. Like, I think she's just been in the ether. And then it's like this very public relationship. And now she's engaged. And it's just been constant. And like, I talk about this a lot with you of like, I miss the mystery around celebrity. I think almost every celebrity is overexposed, and that makes them like default less interesting. And I think Taylor, when she went into exile during that like reputation period and then the pandemic, like she maybe was forced to have that constraint of like, I'm going to be less public. And I think that built up all the excitement, and people are like, she doesn't post her real life on Instagram anymore. And then the Eras tour came and we're all so hungry for it because we're like, we just haven't had, we've had like little drips of like new music comes out and like, it's a little documentary, but it's just her in a house, like writing music. And like, it felt much more intimate. And this feels just like flooding the zone and in your face a lot more. And there's also just the commercialization of it all. Like, I think getting an email to buy the vinyl, I bought the vinyl the first night. I think you were traveling,
Of course.
and I just like waited in queue and bought it. And then like, it doesn't feel great to get an email a week later being like, and now there's this new bigger, better, shinier vinyl and a CD. And then you get like 6 different versions of that. And it does kind of feel like, am I just a cash register that she's pumping? And like, yeah, there's probably a limit there, but her team's also really savvy. They're probably making a ton of money and maybe alienating a few of us on the edges, but she is still the biggest thing in popular culture.
And she's a capitalist queen. And like, I think we always have delicacy around talking about Taylor because, I always try to think like, would I be saying this if it were a male pop star? Would I be saying this if a man, like she's very loaded. There's like a lot of things that you can interpret. But I do miss like the folklore days where she just put out an album, said, here it is, enjoy it. I'm not going to really market this. I'm not going to like try to make you buy a lot of stuff off of it. And I just think it's felt she's felt different recently where I think she's like, I am pushing you guys away a bit. I like want to talk a little bit less about my life. I'm giving you just like tiny little bits, but it's mostly just about the commercialization of these albums. And so I think it's just like, it is like a stark contrast of like how it used to be even 2 years ago. And I think I'm just like icked out by it.
Yeah. And I wonder if we would even think about it differently if you don't think about her, Taylor Swift, as a person and think about Taylor Swift, the business, because
Right.
we don't fault businesses that grow really quickly, right? Like, we can talk about it of like, man, like I miss when Instagram like felt smaller and like didn't have an algorithmic feed and things like that. And like you can certainly feel that way, but we also understand a business, its job is to grow and like create more value and like make more money. And I think if you remove Taylor Swift, the person, and talk about like Taylor Swift Inc., like the business, like it's an incredibly well run business, but I think that can alienate people. It's kind of like if your neighborhood pizza place becomes Domino's,
Mm.
you're going to feel differently about it. And Domino's is for a lot of people, but it's not for everyone.
Well, we feel that way with our local sushi place right now because TikTok fucking ruined it.
Yeah, don't talk about it.
I'm not going to say. I'm actually going to gatekeep you guys. Okay.
But
Sometimes
if
it's
you
okay.
Venmo us $10, we will tell you where it is.
Yeah. Basically just Venmo Kunal, right?
Yeah.
We're paying for a honeymoon, paying off our honeymoon right now. So we'll take everything. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And I think it's just, it all feels like contradictory. It's hard to explore because like, it's truly also just the juxtaposition of like her music and how personally connected we feel to her. I'm adjusting. I'm adjusting to try and figure it all out.
Yeah. For me, I love Taylor Swift, the musician. I'm not I'm not a big fan, nor do I really care about Taylor Swift, the celebrity. And I think
Yeah,
that lets it all feel really less exhausting. Like, new album will come out, I can like evaluate it on that and not have to worry about what's all the other noise around that.
totally. Like she will always be an incredible artist and songwriter, and like she's a poet. She's a musical genius, and I will always love her music. And I'm excited for Friday. I am. Um, yeah, I think it's for me personally too. It's the Travis Kelce of it all. Like I miss Joe. Can I say? Can I
Hey,
say?
it's a safe space. It's your podcast.
I know, but I know that I'm gonna have some people coming for me. I just sometimes do. I miss the music. I know that he probably who knows what they went through in the relationship. I think she wrote her best songs ever about him. I miss her being a little bit more like it feels different. I have a hard time with change.
I know. And they're engaged. So, barring some disaster, this is the new person. Also, like, she is a creative genius. She was writing love songs at the age of like 13 in her bedroom before she had like ever firsthand experienced any of those emotions.
Yeah.
I think like we can have space for she might be in a relationship that on the surface feels uninspiring or less
Mm.
exciting, and put trust in that like she has like an amazing imagination and can like tap into that to hopefully still create really fun music.
No, you're right. You're right. I think I just have like the ick a little bit right now with them as a couple, with like some of the people they hang out with, some of the vibes, and I just need to let that go before the album is released, you know?
Yeah, Taylor Swift, the musician, amazing. Taylor Swift, the celebrity, maybe not that cool, and that's okay.
Well, the fashion, we won't get into it because we're wrapping up. But yeah, it's like very much like that. That you're just like, you have all these opportunities. Like, why aren't you just being more cool?
Yeah.
And guys, it's okay to say, please critique the people you love in the public eye. Like, it's not a weird thing to like. You don't have to just 100% love someone.
I think that's fair.
Like even when people critique Leo, I'm able to be like, I understand. I don't agree with you, but I understand.
Hey, and there it is.
Thank you for coming on, my love. It was
You're welcome.
it was so fun. Claire, we missed you. If you like this episode, please follow us everywhere at Right Answers Mostly. We have history episodes on Monday. We have pop culture on Friday. We have a premium channel. You can find Kunal's episode on there, $7.99 for 3 bonus episodes a month. And we will see you guys on Monday.